All right, welcome to Elk Shape YouTube channel Q&A, July. This is number 20. This is my version of a podcast for the web. I don't do these live. I do these from my house. And it's almost August, I think, mid-July. And I got a handful of questions, and I haven't even read them yet, so I'm going to read them here live for you guys. I just always preface these videos with hey, I'm not an expert elk hunter by any stretch of the means. I don't get paid to elk hunt. I pay a lot to elk hunt. I've had a lot of success, especially in the last 10 years. I've killed an average of 2 bulls a year, public land over the counter tags, and with that, I've learned a lot about success and failure. Before that, there was 4 or 5 years where I didn't kill an elk. I'm just going to go over the things that have helped me. This is just my opinion, and so take it for what it's worth. And if I use your question, hit me an email and let me know your address, t-shirt size, hat size. I'll send you a decal at the very least. And I appreciate you guys sending these questions. Thought about going live on these. I thought it'd be cooler to do it on Facebook, but I'm going to stick with YouTube for now. So this first question is from Andrew Rowland, Q&A for swag. He says he has a 3-month-old boy and 3-year-old girl at home, and things have been crazy. I can relate. You used my above question on Q&A number 11 or number 13. Would it be possible to get an elk-shaped decal to put on my car? I've watched nearly every video and love them all. Absolutely, Andrew. Send me another email reminding me of your address for the decal, and I'll ship you a couple. Maybe one could go on your bow case. Do you have any tips on how to manage work-life balance? I work 4/10s. Yeah, we answered this question. Basically, Andrew, I'm still trying to figure out that, man. Like, in fact, my calendar's right here in front of me. I'm trying to figure out when am I going to get to go hunting? How do I juggle running a business, working 24-hour firefighter shifts, being a husband, being a father, paying bills, managing employees, managing 200 customers at my gym? It's a lot, and it's just not fun being an adult, and no one likes to talk about those things. But we did answer your question. Yeah, I'll send you a decal. Give me an email with your address. We'll hook you up with a couple. And thanks, Andrew. This one's from Scott Carlson. He says, it's Scotty Carlson from Spokane. I shoot almost daily, and I still shake quite a bit. Any tips on how not to shake so much so my groupings can be a little better? I have no problem pulling my bow back or holding it for quite a while. I just seem for some reason to shake a lot. This is a pretty complex question, Scotty Carlson. Have you ever tried running the quivalizer, putting some more weight out front, or a sidebar? I really like a sidebar to offset your quiver if you have a quiver attached, which you probably do. I got a bee stinger sidebar. I don't remember how much weight I have out on front, but when I shoot that bow, it's a little bit heavier. It's a carbon bow, so it's pretty light. But I would work with weights on your bow, putting a little heavier stabilizer, more weight out front, maybe a heavier sidebar, and see if that doesn't help you actually lock that pin a little bit tighter. It's okay for a pin to float, but if you're trying to punch a trigger right when that pin is on the target, I would encourage you to just maybe take a step back and film yourself shooting with your phone and see if you are punching that trigger pretty hard. You might want to take a couple weeks off from your caliper release, assuming that's what you're shooting, and go to a true back tension or if a thumb barrel and shoot it like a back tension. That would be a good place to start. Another thing is you're shooting at targets and you can be getting panicked because you're staring at your pin. Maybe you should try staring just at the target, what you're trying to hit, and blur out the pin. Your body will know, your subconscious will know when to pull that trigger. So a lot of times when I get a little bit, I wouldn't call it target panic, but my groups aren't tight, I'll say that, is when I'm not focusing on the target, I'm looking at the pin too much. And you can do that in a hunting scenario real easy. So back tension, focus on what you're shooting at, not the pin. The pin will blur. And switch to maybe a back tension for a couple weeks, blank barrel shoot in your garage, and add some more weight on your bow rig. That should help. Thanks for the question, Scotty. Hit me up, I'll send you a decal. Fidel Contreras, his subject line is elk scent. Hey Dan, I'm fairly new to hunting. I actually drew an elk tag this year. So my question is, have you ever used an elk or cow scent? If so, what are your pro and con with using them? You bet. I used to buy elk fire on all sorts of cow urine, and I would cover myself, and guess what? The elk still smell you. So I'll save you. I used to use those kind of cover scents and stuff like that back in the early days of my elk hunting career when I didn't know shit and I wasted money. I would never buy elk scents. I'd never buy them anymore because the elk can smell you no matter what. Get the wind right. Could it probably help as far as deter some of your smell? Maybe. But where I elk hunt, there's a heavy backpack on my back. I'm going uphill or downhill or side hill. It's usually hot in September. I'm perspiring. I'm maybe wearing the same clothes for like 3, 4, 5 days, changing socks and underwears occasionally. Dude, get the wind right. Don't go in areas where the elk live that the air gets funky. You know, a lot of saddles can get real funky wind. Some benches, that's usually where the elk will bed, is in places where the wind's funky and it's to their advantage. So come at elk at the right angle. It's going to be, you're new to elk hunting, you're going to learn the hard knock life lessons of wind and elk behavior, and you're going to just have to cut your teeth. But save your money. If anything, buy another elk reed with that money, or buy another windicator, because you're going to lose one for sure. And keep the wind in your face, brother. Good luck on your hunts, Fidel. All right, special situation endurance training ? Corey. Corey is from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. That's just about 30 minutes away from my house. He's a fan of the videos, and he hunts. What is your question? It's a workout question. He's a former college basketball player, so workouts and endurance have been a great part of his life. This past spring, he was involved in a bad explosion and nearly lost his life. He fractured his skull in 3 places, fractured his jaw in 3 places, no nerve function on the left side of his face along multiple surgeries, really killed his endurance. I've had the chance to draw a New Mexico bull tag, and I'm really focused on getting it done. However, I've never killed an elk, and I got the great news I drew a tag in New Mexico. Then 2 days later, boom, literally. What can I do to get into shape? I'm limited on what I can do due to crazy lengths of time or high speed, high weight, which sucks. I'm bound to determine not to let injury make me miss my life. I know you're busy, and suggestions like baby steps would be really appreciated. Thanks. All right, Corey, you drew a New Mexico tag, you lucky dog. I haven't drawn a tag in New Mexico in over 10 years. It's driving me nuts. I'm about ready to buy a landowner tag because the hunting there to me is a lot easier than hunting in North Idaho because of the terrain and the topography. Idaho's steeper. Doesn't mean it's higher. New Mexico's definitely higher. You're going to base out at 10,000 feet, no problem. But you have so much underbrush in North Idaho where you're going to be able to use optics. There's a lot of guys that are not that great a shape that kill elk. So don't think that you need to be in top CrossFit shape to kill an elk. That's not the case at all. But your body needs to be used to having a backpack loaded down on your back, covering miles with boots, all your gear on, going uphill, downhill, side hill. And if you can mix up the pace at which you hike on your training days, that would be great. So backpack conditioning or cardio is going to be your number one asset for the few months that we have ahead. I think New Mexico, I'm not sure which tag you have. You didn't say if it was archery. I'm assuming archery. They have 2 different hunts, the early hunt, the late hunt. The early one starts on the 1st, usually goes through the 15th. The second one starts the 16th, I think, and goes through the 22nd. It's like a 7-day hunt. Both hunts are phenomenal. I've done both. I've killed elk in both. New Mexico's awesome. You didn't say which unit, so I don't know if I've hunted there before, but I'll tell you what, man. Just do you. Just do what you can do. Every day is an opportunity to sweat in the name of elk hunting. So I wouldn't take any days off, even if you do some light calisthenic bodyweight push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, air squats, lunges with your backpack on, hiking intervals, long, slow distance hikes. You live in Coeur d'Alene, you got hills right there. Go hike Tubbs Hill with as heavy weight as you can, and do everything you can to shoot your bow with your backpack on under duress so that you can duplicate the experience that you're going to have in New Mexico when you maybe possibly earn that one shot opportunity. You'll have been in that situation before with a high heart rate and able to settle your nerves, level the pin, let it float, and execute a good shot. Just make sure you range find that elk. Make sure that you're bringing great optics. It's not a bad idea to spike out in New Mexico. There is some hunting pressure, but you can get away from people really easy with a little bit of effort. And honestly, the elevation, get there a couple days early because you could be over 10,000 feet at elk. I'm not sure what unit again, but I'm excited for you. Let us know how you do, and I wish you the best of luck. Next question is when to back down training, from John Green. He's a bigger hunter, 6'3", 260. That's big. Been CrossFit for almost 4 years now. He loves it. How close or far away to elk season do you back down training, or do you? I hunt over the counter units in Colorado, fairly high, 9,500 feet up. Thanks. Well, Ryan, you already live at elevation if you're in Colorado. You probably live at 5,000 feet plus, and you're only going up to 9,500, so I don't think elevation would be a big deal. You do CrossFit. I know you get your ass kicked a couple times a week, then you're in great shape. Your question is when to back down. And, you know, the older I get, the less I even back down from elk hunting. I just try to stay in top CrossFit shape until the second I go. And in between hunts, I come back and do CrossFit WODs. They make me really sore, and I hunt sore, but I don't generally back down too much leading up to September. I take September off. Generally, I only work a handful of days in September. So I'm in the hills hunting and losing weight, not on purpose either. And so I try to peak in August, you know, doing CrossFit 6 days a week with backpack conditioning in there. As far as backing off, I still WOD real hard. And then I feel like hunting's kind of a break from the grind, and hunting's easy. And that whole train hard, hunt easy is a real thing for me. My problem, and maybe you'll face this year, is coming back from your hunt, trying to go right back into CrossFit. It's very difficult. You've been wearing and tearing your hip flexors, your quads, your hamstrings. You're going to come in there with such tight hips and ankles that your mobility is going to be really not what it was in just a couple of weeks, because, you know, you're always hiking and grinding elk hunting. But here's a good thing. By into October, you should kind of bounce back. I usually give myself a month grace period after hunting season to just ease my way back into CrossFit, ease my way back into moving the big weights, as well as the longer Metcons with the higher reps. I kind of just ease my way in 2 or 3 workouts a week, you know, with lots of rest and lots of stretching, yoga, mobility, and conditioning pieces versus strength pieces. So answer your question, I don't back down, but take it easy coming back to CrossFit on your way when you're done. Don't worry, man. You got the rest of the year to keep training CrossFit. Elk hunting is just a finite number of days. So last question is Joshua Scott. We're getting close to elk season. He's hiked more and shot his bow more this year. Watched a ton of YouTube on the subject. He's working on his calling. He's got 11 out of 13 days to hunt elk in September in Washington State. He's going to be hunting a unit by Yakima. He actually told me which unit. I'm not going to say it. What will increase his odds for success? He'll be alone most part, and when not, he'll be with a greenhorn who's never drawn blood on an animal. Failure is not an option. He's got a base camp he's going to set up, and he's taking a hammock to sleep in the bush. That's hardcore. So on to the questions. Number 1. On the large caribou single quarter game bags at Cabela's, how many should I have to pack out a cow or a spike elk? Are these the bags you speak of, and where can I find a better buy? No, Cabela's is a good deal, or buy them online. Yeah, I would have 5 bags, and I would debone your elk meat in the field. If you're killing them in the backcountry, if you kill them near a road, haul out quarters or whatever. I'm not sure if you'd be able to fit a whole quarter with bone in those bags. I can't tell you off the top of my head, but I think I have 5 of those bags in my pack system, and then I'll just debone a quarter and put it in one bag, hang it, do the other 3 quarters, and then I have a bag for basically backstrap, tenderloin, and I usually fill up 2 of those bags with that, and then like rib meat, neck meat, all your loose meat. I usually have a really heavy bag of loose meat, try to get everything off that elk for burger. So I would have 5 bags, and those game bags are awesome. Number 2, I'm in the market for some lightweight hunting gear for September and elk. I'm looking at Sitka Gear. I figure I need at least 2 sets of pants and tops. What do I go with, and do I do long sleeve or short? I'm thinking long due to mosquitoes. Okay, so my Sitka system, I can tell you about it. I like their core bottoms and their core tops. I wear the core top short sleeve. I do have the long sleeve, but I generally wear the short sleeve core. And then I like their Timberland pant with the built-in knee pads. I could get away with 1 pant for a whole 5, 7, 12-day hunt. So if you need to save money, maybe just get one pair of pants. And then I like their core zip hoodie for over the top, and then a Kelvin light vest over that, and then a puffy jacket in my bag for obviously like at camp or at night or sitting waiting for it to get light and calling. If you can afford their downpour, you get some of their rain gear. Obviously, if you had to pick between pants and the rain jacket, get the jacket, just so you keep your core dry. But I like the Sitka system, the layering system. So the bottom, the top, short sleeve, Timberline pant. They have some merino stuff. Check those out. The core zip hoodie for sure. Kelvin light vest if you can. They're puffy for sure. And then the downpour, because it is going to rain in the Cascades where you're at. So try those. Number 3, last question of Q&A. I've got my gear together, but what are some of the things that maybe a first-time archery elk hunter may not be knowing I'll need? Okay, well, I don't think you need a saw and 5 knives. I usually go with one of those lightweight, and I think a lot of hunters do this now. Like I use a Havalon. I bring a few extra blades, and I can get all the bone out, the head off, everything I need right there, and they're super sharp. Be careful, but you don't need. I used to pack like one of those game packs with a saw, a deboning knife, a caping knife, a gutting knife. No, just save some weight there. Maybe get a dry bag inside of your pack, and you can put everything in there nice and neat. I'm going to do a bag dump here soon because everyone's been asking me to do that, so I will show you what's in my pack. But I like to keep a dry bag in there for like camera gear or anything that needs to stay dry, like a cell phone or your charger. I use the Poseidon from Dark Energy. I'm not sponsored by them. I just think it works really well. Other things would be a GPS. That's really handy, especially for if you're going to hunt a same area year after year. You can really start to add some cool waypoints. Maybe you find a wallow or an area that elk like to bed, or a highway, game trail, or a transition area, or maybe you find an old abandoned tree stand, something like, I don't know, if you kill an elk and you want to GPS where it's at. And you can always bring those coordinates back with you in the off season and study Google Earth and make your own maps. And a lot of times you can add waypoints from Google Earth into your GPS, which is super dope. The other thing is, if you get cell phone service, or even if you don't, the Onyx Map app, they have the new app coming out real soon. I'm actually doing some of the beta testing with it right now, and it, like, their newest update kills their old app. It's easier to download. I'm not sure if I'm supposed to talk about this stuff, but I'll just say this. Vast improvements on the new app, and it should be done by the end of July. Get that app, at least for Washington, on your phone, no question. Because you can do, well, I'm going to just say it. You can do satellite view. You can do a hybrid view, which overlays topography with a satellite view. You can just do topography. So it works really well. And phones, everyone brings a phone and a charger now, so you could skip the GPS route because you could add waypoints to the new app as well. Plus, be confident that you're hunting public land and know where you're at all times. Other things that I like would be, obviously we talked about the caribou game bags. If you're not packing game bags with you, you don't plan on killing. I always have game bags with me, always. And then I like a puffy jacket for those brisk mornings or late evenings, especially if you're waiting on elk to talk, or a lot of times I'm waiting for elk to move to their bedding area and I'm in the shade and it's cool. So a puffy jacket, plus if you sweat too much, you can always, with Sitka Gear, you can put a puffy on and dry out while wearing a coat, which is super convenient. You might look into getting a pair of gaiters in those Cascades that you're hunting. It's pretty wet in the morning, a lot of dew, especially if it rains, and then the rain stays on the brush and there's a lot of underbrush. That could, really keep your feet dry, which is very important. Foot care, don't skimp on a good pair of boots. I rock Kinnetrek, and I make sure that they're broken before I use them. Like I said, I wore the Sitka Gear because clothing is gear. I like the EXO Mountain Gear pack. It's the lightest pack out there. The 5500 or the 3500 K2 frame. I like the 5500 because it's just a little bit bigger, yet you can compress it down to nothing. And I like having extra room there. Take good pictures if you kill an elk, or even if you don't. Don't forget to bust out your phone and capture your memories, because you're going to have all year to look back at them. But a new elk hunter should buy like 3 or 4 or 5 wind indicators or puffs, because you're going to go through those a lot. You should be if you're checking the wind. I talk about the wind all the time. The wind is everything in the backcountry. So other than that, man, those are just a few ideas. On the next Q&A, I think we're going to do a back dump. But guys, thanks for watching. 20-minute video on elk hunting. Answer your questions right here and there. Send them to elkshape@gmail.com. I'll make it worth your while. Those guys, I just answered your questions. If you watch this, hit me up with your address. I'm going to send you some cool stuff. Thank you. And we'll see you guys in the Elk Mountains here in about 6 weeks.